And within 2 days, my mum brought me a lead, and I closed that lead straight away.
Welcome back to another episode of the Design a Future podcast. I've got a very exciting guest with me here today. Please feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Jason Fox. I am from Australia. I run a digital marketing agency called JCF Media, and I also run a digital education platform for agency owners, business owners called, we actually recently renamed it called Grow Scale Dominate.
Okay, cool.
So that's me.
Wicked. So, I mean, I usually like to have like a bit of a structure with this, but I tend to go off of topic. So,
Yep,
firstly, just
that's fine. Yeah.
that's what caught my ear from that straight away was the educational sort of side of it. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yep. So, right, I'll kind of back up really to explain it. So, first of all, we started our agency. There's a long story in starting my agency. We might be able to get into that later, but we started the agency and we were doing quite well. We're getting 25K months. We were doing really, really well, and it was great. But it just didn't feel like I didn't feel really connected.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm probably going to do this a lot, but
No.
yeah, you mentioned, we. So I'm guessing, obviously, within your agency, it's not like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So is that a business partner, or are you more referring to like a team?
Yeah, so I started the agency myself, and then I'll back up to that story kind of. I started the agency myself after
tell
I
me about how we
finished college
started.
in America. All right, cool. Yeah. So I played soccer all my life, right? And I was football. I lived in America, so I had to call it soccer.
Football.
So I played football all my life, and then I actually played in England. I played in Nottingham. I played for Notts County. So and then I came back to Australia, and all I cared about was football, right? I didn't care about school, so my grades suffered. Like my grades were so bad. I didn't even get into university here in Australia for like arts or liberal arts or anything because my grades were so bad. So someone mentioned to me, listen, I can get you a full scholarship over to the US to play soccer. And I said, yeah, let's go, let's do it. So I went over there, and while you're over there on a student visa, you're not allowed to work. So I couldn't do anything for work. I could earn like $7 an hour, and I could only work 10 hours a week. So I'd earn $70 a week. That's it. Which is, nothing. So I did that for 5 years. I was over there, and I loved my time over there and everything like that. And then I came back to Australia, and I had my MBA. I was like trying to get jobs, and I couldn't really find anything. And my mum suggested to me, and my dad suggested, why don't you just start your own business until you figure out what you want to do? And I was like, okay, cool. So I started it. And within 2 days, my mum brought me a lead, and I closed that lead straight away, and I started moving. I started my agency like that. I didn't even have a name, didn't have a business idea or anything.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Please tell me a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about, firstly, like your, because a lot of the people that will potentially be watching this is going to be, like young entrepreneurs, people that have probably been told a lot from their parents that this isn't the avenue that they should be taking. So please dive in a little bit deeper with that.
Yeah, of course. And I always say that like it's kind of normal to me because my dad has been an entrepreneur all his life. He hasn't had a job, he hasn't worked for anyone since, he was, God, I didn't even know. So he has always been an entrepreneur, always doing things. My mom's always been an entrepreneur, always doing things as well. So they've both been very entrepreneurial, and they've always supported my journeys. I've always, like, as I said, I went over to England when I was in high school to play football. Like, most parents don't do that, but yeah, and it was tough, but like most parents don't do that. And the reason that they do is because I think that I'm lucky because they gave me this, but I'm so passionate about things is that kind of if they didn't really allow me to go to England, I would have gone anyway. Like I wasn't rebellious or anything, but I'm just like so passionate that I make it happen. So with the business, they just said, like why not start it? Why not do it? They're sensible as well. They're like, get a job, work for dad, driving around forklifts. I was like, fine. So I make money and then I work on my agency at night. So they kind of just pushed me because they believe that, and they believe in my brother and I so much. That's what really allows us to succeed, is that they believe in us. So we believe in ourselves, and then we, push that out into the world.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to me a little bit more about that first client and the fact that your mum
Yes.
bring the first client.
Yeah.
That must have been
So
pretty.
first client, yeah, and this
My,
is
my
something
mum's
I
all,
teach a lot of agency owners.
my mum's
Yeah.
also done the same thing as well, so that's why I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, well, wicked. That's awesome. Yeah, so I said to my mum, I was like, Mum, this is what I want to do. This is the customer I serve. And nowadays I refine this a little bit more when I'm teaching agency owners. I say, you need to say one sentence that explains exactly what you do, who you help, and how you can help them. If you can say that to someone, then they can recite that and remember that and go out and tell other people. So I told Mum, I was like, Mum, listen, I can build websites, run traffic to websites, and get people more customers. And so she knew those 3 points, and she was in natural conversation with one of her friends. One of her friends said, "Oh wow, my husband actually needs that," and then they sent the husband over, and I closed him from there. So that's how that came about, and it was funny. It came about, the product that I was selling was really, really weird. It was actually a cow. It was food that made cows shit better, essentially. So
How lucky.
like it was, yeah, it was really weird. So I had to build a website, right, with looking at all this cow manure all the time. So it
Must have
was
been
really weird. But that's essentially how I got the first customer.
nice, cool.
And then kind of from there, man, like after a year, I got more customers from referrals. I started like putting stuff out on LinkedIn. I started getting more and more customers. And then eventually my brother, who worked in real estate in Sydney, he was asking me digital marketing questions. We were speaking all the time. And then I said, listen, why don't I speak to your boss and see if I can work with him, and I can really help him out. So I started working with his boss. I started building a website for him. I started like running traffic for him. And then eventually, Chris actually took over that account, like my business partner and brother. He took over that account and started doing the work for his boss while I was getting paid for it. So I was like, bro, why don't you just come work for me? So he came on board, and immediately he became my business partner. Obviously, also my brother, and that's where the we comes into play with that.
Right, awesome, awesome. So yeah, talk to me a little bit more about how did your brother, obviously, because I don't know obviously what it's like out there, but obviously being an estate agent out here is a pretty like high income job role. So how
Yep.
did he sort of transition from being in that job role to obviously coming to continue? And what sort of numbers were you, if you don't mind, what sort of numbers were you doing for you to be able to really have that authority to say, look, quit your estate agent job and come work
Yeah.
with me, sort of thing?
So, so the funny thing is that we actually weren't doing any crazy numbers at the time. Like I was maybe making like 7.5 grand a month, which no, it's not bad, but wasn't doing anything crazy. And I said, why don't you come on board? We can bring all your experience, we can bring all your sales, and we can really take this thing off. So and he was doing okay in the real estate agent job, but he didn't love it. It just wasn't his passion anymore. He didn't really enjoy it. So he decided, is like, yeah, why not? And first of all, like we started, and he was Ubering, like Uber driving to make money while we were still growing the business. And that's like something that a lot of people don't do as well. And we always tell people is like, you can't just rely on, when you're starting a business, you can't just rely on that income, because then you'll be desperate for a sale. You'll be desperate in every conversation, and it doesn't work. When you have like, we're never desperate, because he could always Uber. I could always like work, and we were working in containers, doing whatever we could to make money just to survive when we first got started. So it wasn't really a luxurious transition.
Okay, cool. So you basically still sort of started from the bottom together as well, which must be cool
Yeah.
to be with your brother doing that.
Yeah, big time. I mean, we talk to each other every single day. We, and we've always been like close as brothers anyway. But like now as business partners, it's just kind of on another level as well. And like, it's kind of, sometimes it's weird. We mostly just talk about business even when we're hanging out. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, we both love what we do, so it's okay.
No, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So I believe you obviously said that you firstly sort of got into like making websites, and obviously you've sort of slowly
Yep.
transitioned more into like the Facebook ads side of things.
Yep.
What made you sort of take that sort of leap essentially?
Yeah. So, and this is again, this is another story that I tell a lot of my students is that, when you are starting, we want to start with something that you can do straight away so you can start making money. So, for example, when I started, I could make Wix websites really, really easily. So I started that, started making money, and then I got better at things. I started skilling up at Facebook ads. I started skilling up at sales funnels. I tried to figure out what I could do to make sure that I was getting like being as skillful as possible and having that skill set. And then eventually what I decided to do is, instead of like offering all of these services, is be real specialized at one or two things, which was Facebook ads and sales funnels, and then double my price. And when we did that, that's when our business took off, because we were so focused on just those two things. And if a client didn't fit within those two things, then we couldn't service them. So it allowed us more freedom, more time freedom, and also to be better leverage because we got paid more.
Nice, yeah. And I think I just want to touch on something as well for the people listening. Like, I think that is one of the key things that when I was starting out was one of the things that I was just falling over all of the time, because I was a good video editor. I am a good graphic designer. I am good at creating funnels. I'm good at making websites. And but when you've got so much of that good things, and you think you're a jack of all trades, you do become a master of
Yeah.
none, because you're spending you're
Mhm.
spending maybe an hour doing this and an hour doing that and an hour doing this, and you're just not having the correct time, mastering one skill.
Yep,
Well,
100%. Yeah, and that's where your time can be you stretched, money as well, because you're not going to pay, like, people don't want to pay for that jack of all trades. They want to pay for the specialist. You go like doctor, general practitioner, your doctor gets paid less than the specialist, of course. So that's the analogy that we always try to teach people, because it's just the truth, and it's so much easier to work on just a couple of things.
yeah, for sure. So for the people that are listening that have been doing Facebook ads, or that they've been running this sort of online marketing agency business model, what for you personally has been your favorite client, in terms of like, and I don't know if I have honestly haven't even spoke to you really in terms of the niche
Yeah,
that you're sort of working with at the moment, but
yeah.
I'm guessing through trial and error you've worked with several niches
Yeah,
from
we've worked with
industries.
hundreds. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
exactly. So I would say there's a couple, and what I would say, this is kind of a weird one. The one that we like the most is a customer that we actually started. We picked up probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and we work with them for about a hour, maybe at the most a month, and they pay us close to $2,000 a month. So it's literally $2,000 an hour, every single month. It's brilliant. And that customer's in a niche that needs contractors. So essentially, they need more employees, more contractors all the time. It's similar to like Uber. Uber always needs more drivers. These guys need more drivers as well for transport. So all we do is run Facebook ads to a lead form that automatically gets sent to all of the different departments that need to contact them. And then that's it. And we're getting $2 leads in for them because they love it. They're so excited that they're getting such cheap leads, because they were using Seek, Indeed, all of those job sites that you charge like $250 just to put a listing up, whereas we're putting up 150 listings a day and they only paying $300 and they're getting like freaking 150 leads. So that's uh that's my favorite niche because it's so easy.
yeah, and just because like when people think about the whole grand scheme of all of this stuff, like that is definitely something that they would not think about. Like they would not think
Yeah,
about a company that is employing more people, and for them to get leads through that sort of way. So that's really interesting.
yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
worst niche you've worked with that stands, or the worst
Uh,
business within that niche possibly?
mm, Finance is pretty difficult. It's not difficult. Like we've worked with finance quite a bit. real estate agents are like tough sometimes to work with, not because the niche is difficult, you can get results. Probably at the moment, the most difficult niche that we're facing is, it's funny, and it's solar, like solar energy, because in Australia, solar energy is really, really big. And it's not that it's difficult to get results. It's difficult because a lot of people are doing it and a lot of people have found Facebook to work. So our lead cost typically is anywhere from $2 to about $12. But we're looking at $20 to $50 leads because it's so expensive to advertise in the solar niche at the moment. And I wouldn't say don't go into solar. I'm just saying that it's very expensive at the moment and it's difficult to get results. So that's probably a difficult niche. Like we've worked with so many different businesses, like e-commerce sometimes, coaches, affiliate marketers, if you have a good enough, like what I say is that there's no real difficult niche. If your customer has an easy and clear offer, so the offer is simple, you know what you're selling, and then an easy sales process, then you can work with any niche. If their offer is like, I sell underwater ferret breeding kits or something like that, like what the hell is that? You don't know. That's hard to sell. And then say their sales process is, I need to pass you to a sales rep, then a manager, then we need to negotiate for 3 months. That's not going to work. So if you have clear offer, easy sales process, then I can work with any niche.
Nice. So with that being said, has there been any situations where, I'm not talking as in like you've worked with you potentially working with someone and they wasn't a good fit for you, but has there ever been something where someone's come to you and there was some little minor tweaks that you had to personally suggest within their sales
Yep.
system?
Yeah, 100%. It happens all the time. And customers have this idea in their head, right, that they want to do things that their competitors are doing or that someone else has done really well. So some customers are like, oh, I want to sell through a webinar. I want to do an ebook. And I'm like, that is not the right vehicle for you to get results. The vehicle works. Don't get me wrong, the vehicle works. We do ebooks, we do webinars all the time. Just you need the right vehicle to get customers to you. So we've had niches like we have a IVF clinic that we work with, and they wanted to do a webinar, and the webinar wasn't really good enough, so we had to suggest changes to the webinar and changes to the funnel. So it's really the vehicle is what you need to consider, and the easiest way to get a customer there, and an easy way, especially because like IVF, you don't know like who needs IVF. Like it's pretty difficult. People aren't on Facebook going through and liking IVF pages, are they? So the vehicle is very important, and we always suggest changes with that. And in fact, we try to control the changes and do them ourselves.
Nice, cool. So one thing I'm sort of eager to know as well from just getting to know you on this
Yep.
podcast is I know you obviously mentioned you went to school for football or soccer,
Yep.
as you would say.
Yep.
What was the sort of like early signs? I know you obviously talked about your mum and your dad talking about you starting a business. Was you ever
Mhm.
doing any of that sort of like maybe out of the like weird sort of stuff when you was younger? I've heard some funny
Yep.
stuff about people, flip. I can't even remember what someone was talking to me before about.
Yeah.
Um, they was flipping books or something like that when they was like 10. And I was like, why, and how did that ever
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah, there's a couple. So there used to be this phenomenon. I don't know if it made it to England, but it was in Australia. We had these thing called Beyblades. Like
Yeah,
it's these things where you like, yeah,
yeah,
rip
I
it
remember
and then
them.
it
Yeah,
spins around, right? So what I would do, I think it was like year 3 or 4, and what I would do is that mum bought us a pack, and the pack had like all of the best Beyblades in it. And what I would do is I would take all of the parts from like some of the better Beyblades and I would put mine together. And mine was like metal stuffed, so I never lost. Mine was like ugly as hell, but it was metal, and I would never lose. So, but what I would do is all of the parts, like, because I would only take the best parts from the whole set and put it as mine. So I had mine, right? And I didn't want to play with the other ones. Chris, my brother, wanted all the other ones. He could play with all those. I started selling out individual parts because you can make more money on the parts than the actual like one. So that was the first thing that I do. But I didn't know at the time like that was entrepreneurial because I wasn't really selling it for money. I was selling it for like better parts or different parts that I
yeah,
needed. So
yeah.
that was the
Cool.
first thing that I did. And then I started trying to sell car washes. I went on door knocked at homes around my area and started like selling car washes. I went down and bought like some crappy $10 thing, and I was horrible at car washing, but still I made a bit of money on it, so it was funny.
Yeah, yeah. I think I done the reverse. So actually,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if I should even say that, but I remember
yeah.
we got caught stealing dust caps. Remember, like the
Oh
on the
yeah.
tires, stealing dust caps, and then we used to sell them. Because everyone, this was like when everyone was big on their bikes and used to have like the blue like bullets on their BMX and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
walks up past someone's house, and you see their car. I don't even think people
yeah.
have dust caps anymore. Like they don't. Just
No, no.
yeah, that's just me. But I remember doing that. Cool. So
Yeah,
one thing, just because I'm also seeing like the football player over your shoulder as well. I'd love to
yeah,
talk more about that because I'm a big football player myself as well.
yeah.
What are you playing football at all now? Now you're obviously running a
Yeah.
successful business.
So yeah, so I as I said, I played in America, and I had a couple of, because they play on AstroTurf over there. So I
Yeah.
had a couple of injuries, like a
Oh
couple of
shit.
knee
Around
injuries.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So I came back over here, and for like probably a year, I didn't really have anything competitive. And then I kind of took that into business. And it's not really healthy because the amount of competitive nature that I have like is ridiculous. You know, I would fight people to win. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I just love to win. So I started playing indoor football. So that was good fun. I'm actually and still on a team right now, but the team's not very good. So it's frustrating, but you know, I score goals every now and then. And it's just good to have that competitiveness around, you
Side
know,
of
like I put it in the gym, I put it in football. Like it's just good to be in that competitive environment. I always think that athletes or former athletes make the best entrepreneurs because they're used to winning and they're used to working their ass off all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So sorry, you just touched on gym a little bit for me. Talk to me a little
Yeah,
bit more about your routines, whether it be, you obviously we were speaking 7 a.m. We
yeah,
were on this call, obviously different time
yeah,
zone. Talk to me a little bit more about your fitness regime, your routine. I'd love to hear about like the books you're obviously reading as well.
yeah, yeah. So fitness wise, I try to get in like 4 to 6 times a week, but it's sometimes difficult with work. You know, I'm really like diligent with my schedule. However, it just sometimes that, you know, days just go on way too long. And at the moment, you know, work's a bit of my priority. So I've got to focus on that. But I always try to put it in. I try to go in the mornings at like 4:30, 5 a.m. And that's what I do. And then, you know, I really, my routine is go to the gym, eat, get back into work. But at the moment, reading wise, I try to listen to just audiobooks on my phone. I don't really try to. I don't read a lot of books physically, just because I prefer moving around. Like if I'm listening to an audiobook, I can do that at the gym, or I can do it on a treadmill, or while cleaning the house, or anything like that. So that's what I do. And right now, I'm actually reading a book called Superhuman by Dave Asprey. It's all about like biohacking and stuff like that. So I'm really into that. And I mix it up. Like most of the time it's business books, but I'm just at the moment trying to figure out some health stuff and just try out different topics as well.
Nice, yeah. And I'm glad you said that about, not reading books because there's so much about, you need to read this book, you need to read that book. But I can honestly say that I've read like half, maybe three quarters of a book and then put it down, and I'll probably come back a week later and then continue it. Um,
Yep.
that's cool. So another thing that I wanted to ask you was, obviously we spoke about some of the books. Um, is there any sort of apps that you use on a regular basis? I know, so I speak to some people and they're very minimalist in terms of, they're strict and they're like, I don't need any apps. But then I know people that literally rely on certain apps to help them through their day, whether it be, just generally getting through their day or throughout their business.
Yep. Yep. For sure. So apps wise, I use an app called Brain FM,
Okay.
which
Oh yeah,
are you familiar with that?
yeah,
That's one of
yeah.
my favorites because I put my like noise canceling headphones on. I put on the app, and like that's what I love. I really enjoy that. Another app that I use is Streaks. So it's essentially like you put all your streaks that you want to do and you click whether you've done them for the day. So it keeps me accountable every day. And once I hit a certain, like, like I've got take vitamins, read, review goals, like content, like when I hit those every day, and once you hit like 10, 12, 15 days in a row, it becomes a habit essentially. So you're doing it all the time naturally. And I'm really like, I'm competitive, obviously. So I want to make sure that I'm hitting it. I'm breaking my previous streak. I'm constantly pushing forward. So that's a really cool app. It's like $7, I think, though. And then Trello is another one. Trello for productivity. It's where I list all my tasks, where we put all our courses together, where we put all of our stuff there. So those are probably, and Slack. Slack's a really good one. That's where I communicate with all of our customers as well.
Mm. Awesome.
So yeah, those are the apps.
Amazing, amazing. So obviously, with you talking about using Slack, that ultimately gets me thinking about team members and outsourcing, if you like. I'd love to hear a little bit more about obviously when you've grown with your brother, how you've obviously built that team.
Yep. So uh, the team side of things is difficult to find like the right people. So at the moment, we're kind of working on a lot of project per project basis for a lot of our team, and it works quite well for us because we have a bit of a fluctuation in our business at times. So if we're only working per project, we don't have to constantly be on payroll. So we work with a lot of freelancers per project. So if we have a certain customer that needs a certain thing, we bring on a freelancer, they take care of that instead of hiring that person and they're sitting on their ass for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is. So that's what we try to do, and that really works well for us. That formula really works well. We're looking to bring on like probably a couple people before the end of the year full time anyway, but at the moment it's just per project that we work, and it's really good because we have a lot of people start the agency on their own and they don't have someone else, right? So I have myself who gets paid a full salary, full director's salary, and then my business partner brother gets paid a full director's salary. So those two people can do the jobs of like four people. So it's really makes life a lot easier, and we're only paying for two people. So that kind of is a real added benefit to the way we've structured the business.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, wicked. So obviously we spoke about clients you didn't necessarily like working with, clients you do like working
Mhm.
with. At the moment, are you sort of specified to one certain niche, or are you sort of working with all different niches?
We work with all different niches, because we've got so much experience in several niches, and we've got a formula that works well in a lot of niches. Is that we really aren't specified to one niche. However, I would recommend people starting or early on to stick with one niche, then maybe branch themselves out. But we just kind of like fell with a lot of different clients. We had a lot of clients that came on board with different niches and people who wanted to work with us. So we're like, okay, cool, we'll do that.
With that being said, obviously you saying people wanting to work with you, um,
Yep.
talk to me a little bit more about your outreach and how it's changed over the duration of the agency as well.
Yeah. So when we got started, we had to do a lot of outreach, right? I had to get on LinkedIn, we had to do cold email, all of that side of things. But then as we progressed, we started attracting better customers and we started getting people to come to us. And they came to us via, LinkedIn. I would put out a lot of content on there. Facebook, I would put out content on there. And people started coming to me instead. So what I would recommend, and this is what I'd recommend for everyone, this is probably a good transition, is that when you put out content on any platform, do it for a purpose and then drive people to certain places for a purpose. So on LinkedIn, what I would do is that I would find questions that my clients were asking me or that people I know were asking me, and I would make a video about that. And then that video, obviously, other people had the same questions. So they would reach out to me and ask for more help. So that really is a good way to go. And that's how people came to us. We were just focusing on doing that, and we didn't have to do much outreach after we got that content model kind of flowing. It really, really helped.
Nice, wicked. So the one of the next things I want to ask you is like investments in terms of your well, obviously you're working with your brother, so I'm guessing a lot of it may be, you sort of thinking together, is this a right investment or whatnot. But going from websites to obviously where you are now, I'm guessing you've invested in, either mentorship from someone, courses, and of course you're now actually selling your own
Yeah,
course. So is there
yeah.
any specific courses or um, mentors that you want to highlight?
Not really, because we didn't start in this space. We started in this space as looking at other marketing agencies rather than digital marketing. So we weren't really involved in the course space. We didn't really know that there was
Sure.
courses out there and stuff like that. We weren't really exposed to it. So we kind of were all self-taught up until a certain point. Then we started taking more Facebook ads courses, just random courses like Kat Howell has a course of the FATC. We took that and we just kind of took, and I think that a lot of people, they go out there and they want to get a course that solves their whole problem. Like, I
Yes.
think that you should only either read a book or watch a course or buy a course that solves your specific problem that you have, so you can get to your next point. Instead of having to buy a course you think that's going to be the answer to all your problems, buy a specific course that's going to solve that problem for you, so you can move on and you can continue in your journey, because there's no magic pill at the end of the day.
No.
Our course is very, very extensive. We help a lot of people out, but at the end of the day, there's going to be questions that you have that a course can't always answer.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And ultimately that is the thing. And if you have that mentality, then I was speaking to someone about it the other day, and we're saying he was course hunting. So he literally went from buying one course and he didn't really implement what was in that course because he felt like it didn't have what he needed. So he then went and bought another
Yeah,
course, and he done the same. And all of a sudden, he had bought 6, 7 courses, and we was just like, how much time have you actually spent consuming that content versus how much have you been doing outreach or building those back end systems within your business or creating content like what
yeah,
you said. And definitely I cannot agree more in terms of creating content to your audience rather than cold messaging them, hey, I want to do your Facebook ads or something along those
yeah,
lines. But that does come with the maturity of running that business, of course, and um and experiencing how obviously creating content for your ideal customer can get people coming to you. And
yeah,
as you obviously know as well, when people come to you versus you coming to them, it's a lot
yeah.
easier to convince them that you're the person to solve their problem.
Yeah, exactly right.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah, making that content and just making it specific as well. So solving one person's problem, a lot of other people are going to have the same problem. Then people will reach out to you.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, for anyone that's watching this and they haven't got a clue what have been going on about for the last 20 minutes or so, um
Yep.
they've literally just got a laptop, right? They've got Wi-Fi. What would be your 5 steps for them to take in the next couple of days?
Okay. All right. To make this work. All right. The first thing that I would do is I would set up my Facebook page and optimize it so it looks like you're a business professional. So I would go on my Facebook page, which is just Jason C. Fox. Go on there, and it's optimized for where directing people to where I want them to go to make the next step. Then I would pick a skill that you kind of enjoy, or you kind of know. So that could be sales funnels, Facebook ads, making websites, whatever it is. Pick that skill and start getting a lot better at it. And then once you're better at it, now you can start making content on Facebook and posting in Facebook groups about how you've mastered this skill or what the things you do specifically. And then people will come to you naturally. Like, it sounds so simple and it sounds like, oh yeah, that's never going to work for me, but it does work. We just suggested that to someone the other day, and he just messaged me today, and he signed a $2,000 a month client, and they're spending $17,000 a month on Facebook, and he's like got a client straight away from the same process. Like, that's all it was. It's so simple and easy. You start creating content in Facebook groups, and people will come to you if your Facebook profile's optimized, and then sell them on whatever service you have on the back end.
Amazing. So Excuse me. Oh my god. Um, with um with with creating content for these Facebook groups, how many posts or how many groups do you sort of recommend posting in?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying
I
to
would
think.
recommend. So some people say that you need to do it in a lot. I would recommend pick 3 to 5 great groups that you're getting good engagement, that you're constantly engaging in, and then that's it. Don't focus on anything else other than those 3 to 5 that you're getting good engagement in. Always engage with other people. Start commenting, replying. Like anytime someone posts something saying, I'm looking for a website person, you should be the first person commenting. And don't be commenting saying, hey, just PM'd you. Comment
Yeah,
asking
the
questions.
worst. I hate
Yeah,
that.
don't do that stuff. Comment asking questions, delivering value, because at the end of the day, like they're going to get hundreds of messages, but if you stand out by like actually giving them advice straight away,
Yeah.
then they're going to pick you.
And the great thing about Facebook groups as well is it is literally like evergreen. So,
Yep.
I've had a comment that I've left on someone's post, you know, 8 months ago or something, and then someone else has literally seen that comment and then replied to that comment and then messaged me, and you think, like, where the hell has that
Yep.
just come from? But it's a piece of value or advice that I'd given someone 8 months ago. So yeah, definitely don't underestimate that, especially like YouTube as well. Obviously, like you were saying, pick sort of one avenue, but definitely YouTube I think is great for that as well if you're going to be
Yeah,
consistent with
exactly.
it. um
Yeah.
Cool. So I think you mentioned to me briefly that you're off to Bali in
Yep.
a month or so. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. What's your plans with the travels?
Yeah, so I haven't had a holiday in a while. So my wife and I, we booked this crazy villa in Bali. I'm just looking at it. It's over here. It's got like this private pool, river, and butler, and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So we're just
You,
going. We're
you
just
was
going for
looking
a
at
week.
it. You was looking at it like it was literally over there. I was thinking,
Well, I have two monitors above. Like I got my laptop.
no, I realized that now. But he was like, yeah, it's just over here. No,
Yeah, like the pictures are here. It looks freaking awesome. So yeah, that's where I'm staying for a week or so.
nice, cool. And what's your goal? I know you just spoke to me about you setting weekly goals and stuff like that. What's your goals for the rest of the year? If we keep it basic.
Yep. So we're looking to start to hit like 100,000, like 6-figure months is some of our goals. And really, and the like, I don't say that in terms of the money's the everything, because money at the end of the day, it's just a tool to do more things. So it isn't the goal. It's the goal. The $100,000, because that's the amount of people that we're going to impact, and that's the amount of people that we're going to actually serve. And that money is a reflection of those people that we're going to serve, because we ultimately, it's great helping 1 or 2 people, but we want to help as many people as possible. So that's where our goals are like that. And plus you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. You have to, we've broken the 2,500, like $50,000 a month plateau. Like once you break that, you need to set new standards for yourself, and that's the new standard that we're setting.
Amazing. So wicked. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. If there's
Sounds good.
anything else you wanted to say before we jump off, obviously, of
No,
course, plug your because obviously you've got a Facebook group as well, right?
Yep. Yeah. So my Facebook group's called Digital Marketing Beasts. If you go to digitalmarketingbeasts.com/join, it'll direct you straight to the group, or just go find me on Instagram. It's just at Jason C Fox. That's where I'm hanging out a lot these days, and I'm trying to grow my Instagram. So that's probably the best place to connect.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you very much for coming on. And guys, I will see you in the next episode. Hope you have a good day. Take care. Bye.
Hollywood 6.